Welcome. I am so excited today to dig into the topic of knowing your customer through the Enneagram. And to help me do that, our first guest in this series is one of my good friends, Allison DeVelvis. She lives here in Central Ohio with me. She has 2 kids and she's an Enneagram 7, likes to have fun. Anything else you'd like to add, Allison?
That's perfect.
Okay.
I feel like a brief example of my relationship with Megan in relation to the Enneagram, like years ago when we were just kind of newly friends, Megan wanted to get her nose pierced. And she was like, who would be the person that I could call? And I think this is before you knew much about the Enneagram, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you were just like, who's the person that's like crazy and impulsive? And I could last minute say, will you go with me to get my nose pierced? And you texted me, were like, hey, and unfortunately I couldn't because I had something else going on, but I would absolutely have done that. And I feel like that's before we even knew the Enneagram, you were like, you come do this crazy wild thing with me. Like, this is who you are. This is how our relationship works.
Yes. And 1s and 7 are lovely friends because we share a line. So, we kind of vibe off one another in that way where I really love the spontaneity. And sometimes the 7 needs someone to be like, can you
tell us what restaurant we're going to and figure out what the plans are? And then I'm in for it.
Exactly. That's awesome. Okay, well, I would like to start off with just a brief description of the Enneagram 7, which is from this book called The 9 Types of Leadership by Beatrice Chestnut. I recommend any of her books, but this is a good one if you're a business person looking to apply it to your life with your coworkers or your boss, that kind of thing. So the type 7, I'll read it, and Allison, you tell me if you relate with this or like what's the part that you really relate with most. Great. So the type 7 is a prototypical person who wants more than anything to feel good and not bad. Sometimes called the epicure or the adventure 7s want to stay happy, experience pleasure, and imagine all the creative possibilities connected to whatever interests them. They tend to have the unconscious belief that if they start feeling bad, they may never stop. This is why negative emotions are so threatening as intellectual types. So it is an intellectual type, which people are sometimes surprised about that. The 7s excel at finding unexpected connections between things and automatically goes to what sounds fun, exciting, or intellectually stimulating. This continual search for the best option and the best experience is rooted in a drive to find what makes them happy. Since they don't always know what makes them happiest, they need the freedom to pursue anything and everything. How do you feel about that description?
That sounds pretty accurate. I think I always do struggle with the 7s being like in the thinking triad, because I feel like I don't spend a lot of time in my head, maybe because I don't want to feel negative things, and like and I'm a complete external processor, so I don't think of good things just in my head. It's through talking it out with somebody else. So maybe like the combination of all that, like the intellectual piece, I don't know. But I know it to be true. It's just not how I feel like I operate normally. It's always surprising, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that part goes to the things that you find fun. You can deep dive into those things really quickly and experience them on a deep level quickly, and also process information quickly. Just, I know from knowing you, like you're often like, we get presented with the same thing and you're 2 steps ahead. I'm like, wait, let me catch up.
Being like quick-witted and can engage in conversation and new topics fast. Yeah, I absolutely do that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. Allison is like the tech person. Like if we or we used to be in a MOPS group together. That's kind of how we really got to know each other really well. She was always the one where we're like, okay, how do we do this?
How does this work?
Exactly. Okay. Well, and the reason I asked Allison to be here is because normally on podcasts and when you have the interviews, you seek to find somebody else who has a podcast or has a product or has a platform of some sort that they're trying to elevate. So, which is totally natural and a great marketing strategy. However, Allison is not that. I wanted her and her perspective because she is the person that most marketers are looking to attract on social media. So she does not have that perspective. Consumer. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have that perspective of being on the other side, which I think taints the way, like when I find just watching like teenagers, because our daughters are very close to that age, just watching them go through their phones on Instagram or something, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just, they're not consuming this information the way that I thought they would.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyhow, so that's why I was gearing to have a conversation with Allison about this. And she's an Enneagram 7. I knew she'd be game. Okay. So just like maybe give us an overall general view of your relationship with social media. How does it fit in your life? How much time do you spend on it? That kind of thing.
Well, I was one of the first people on Facebook, I think, like way back in like the early 2000s when Facebook came out, and it was just for colleges. I was in grad school at the time, and it was like, oh, this is super fun and a way to connect with my friends. I feel like I'm always late to the game with social media. And I also think I'm kind of old, so I'm not on stuff like Snapchat. And I don't know, like I feel like I've just embraced my role of like being in my late 30s and a mom. And like so like Instagram is my number one place for social media. Facebook, I feel like I have to be there for like the school groups and like various organizations and that kind of stuff that all have, like that's where a lot of information comes out on Facebook. But I have like pared way down to like those groups and just like close friends and family, because I feel like there's a lot on Facebook that I just don't even want to engage in anymore. Used to love it, not so much anymore.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
I feel like that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I occasionally pop on Twitter, but I think at the beginning I felt like, this is so funny. I'm like the beginning of the social media, but whatever.
We were there for it.
I felt like how could I possibly limit what I have to say to 150 characters? So I didn't understand Twitter, but I've come to embrace it more later. As a consumer, I like pretty much never post anything, but mostly like a friend is like, hey, have you seen this? And then I'm like, oh, cool. And then I go look at it. I feel like I have almost another group like between me and social media sometimes, like, oh, go check out this. And then I go check it out. Or like somebody sends me something or tags me in something, and then I look at it. I'm definitely a scroller. I feel like what you're saying about your daughter, like the teenagers, like I can, is any of this interesting? We'll see. And I like fly through it until something strikes me often. So that's definitely, when I first start looking, I like, something has to grab me because I can absorb a lot in a little bit of time. Like, so to get me to engage with it, there has to be something that gets my attention, for sure.
What might that be?
I will say, I feel like a lot of times when I'm looking at social media, I should be doing something else. So I don't have sound on, you know what I mean? So if there are not subtitles to something, I probably will pass right by it because I'm not listening. So, but if I see subtitles, I'm like, ooh, what is this? And then I will like find time to watch it with sound on or whatever. But I think that before there were subtitles, I think I missed a lot of stuff because I wasn't listening with audio because I was talking to my kids also, or I was doing something else or whatever. I'm not just watching and listening, I'm reading. So there has to be words that I can read to engage me with something, because I'm also doing 6 other things probably at the same time.
That is a good point. I always recommend that people put the subtitles in there. I mean, I know there's so many apps that do it. It's pretty quick and easy right now. Yeah. So it's well worth your time, as you're saying, so that it catches your eye. What else?
But it also can't be just words, just like a text box usually is not something intriguing. And I know like, you often say like, put yourself in front of the camera. People want to see you and not just read what you have to say. So I think pictures of someone and then some words with what they're saying helps me to engage. Like I want to see who it is that I'm listening to. I don't want to just read something that they posted. Like there
you're
has
saying
to be,
like versus a quote graphic,
right?
Versus like somebody's face and their what they said.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That to me is much more engaging and something that is interesting. Because I really, I'm very people focused. And so I want to see the person and not just what the person's words are. I want to see you or hear you, or, I want to engage with the actual person. Because other than that, like anybody could be saying that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I want the human part.
Do you engage with live streams? Do those ever interest you? People are on their live talking?
Well, so I'm not, mostly no, because I don't know if I'm going to have time then, if I'm going to want to engage at that specific time. If I happen to catch a live stream, then cool. Or I'll watch things later. But as a 7, I feel like there might be something else I'd rather be doing at that time, but I'll check it back later. I don't necessarily want to get something more exciting might be happening at that time. I can't commit to that.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
No.
So as far as links sending you elsewhere, are you apt to click on a link to go somewhere else, or are you more just going to scroll by that?
I feel like a clickbait like gets me a lot. If it's like, ooh, I love that. Oh, it's something about Schitt's Creek. Yes, I will check on that. Like it has to be really compelling, or like not fall for. That's bad. I guess you're talking to marketers. So like, what are the things that are like, oh yeah. I mean, I always like, oh, can you believe that blah, blah, blah? Like, I don't know. Can I? Let me get more information. Maybe I can. I don't know. I definitely will click on things for stuff like that. Like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I do want to learn more about that.
So maybe like a quiz to find out. Okay,
yes.
Quizzes are good.
Absolutely. Quizzes are good. Yes.
Okay.
Love stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. How about when people offer you free downloads or something where you have to engage in that way?
Yes, I like free downloads. Oh, here, get this thing and then sign up for it. So I will sign up for it because I want whatever that thing is that looks interesting.
Good. That's good to know. I don't know why that surprises me a little bit, but because I guess it's because it's an extra step, right?
Yeah. But if there's something that I get, I like that. Just sign up for my newsletter. Nah, I don't really want to sign up for your newsletter, but if you sign up for my newsletter, you get this thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. That's more interesting than just sign up for more information. Like, no.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay.
Scroll.
Scroll.
So what are your pet peeves on social? Maybe things that you're just like, oh, I wish people would stop doing this.
I think something that has happened like over the past year, more people are feeling like we have to engage in bigger issues outside of whatever it is. Like we have to make a statement about this thing that's happening in the world. But I think my pet peeve is when it feels like we're just giving lip service to this thing. Like, oh, we have to address racism, so we're going to say something that doesn't feel like it has weight or meaning behind it. But also you don't want to just ignore topics, things that are, especially if you have a big social media following, like you can't ignore things that are happening around you, but you have to do it in a way that is genuine. So I think that when people are just like, here's a quote from Martin Luther King, because it's Martin Luther King Day, like that feels like, but what does that look like in your life? Or you just being genuine, sharing something about yourself, or, oh my gosh, this thing happened and it's big and here's how it's impacting me, being your true genuine self and not just, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's not just like, oh, this is on your marketing calendar that it's Martin Luther King Day, so I should post a quote from him. Right. It should be more, here we're passionate about racial injustice. So these are the things that we've done in the past year.
Right.
Something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Or like, show us that you actually mean this. It's not just because everybody else is doing it that day. Yeah.
Right. Which I feel that way in a lot of different places, whether it be like at church and like, well, we had a plan and yeah, this thing happened, but our plan is this. So we're going to keep moving on with the plan. Like, no, you have to address what people are feeling and going through, like acknowledge this. This year has changed everything for everybody. I think it's absolutely can change what social media is for me. I feel like it's now definitely, especially as a 7, like this escapism, like get me out of like where I'm stuck at home in this world, and all of a sudden my world got super small. Like social media is an outlet to like what's outside there and to connect with other people. But I want that connection to be more genuine. So I guess that, works into all of those topics. Like I want to really connect. And social media can sometimes feel fake, like fake connection, but it can also feel genuine when you get like a real heart of someone, when they like really share like, yeah, you have a business, but why? Why do you have that business? Just because you're good at something or because you're super passionate about it? And why are you passionate about it? Because if I will jump on any bandwagon. If you can sell me on why I would want to, like, why is this intriguing to you? Then I'll know why it should be intriguing to me and why I'd want to get on board. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. So if we could maybe dive into the individual platforms, like you can give me like a quick, like I'll say one and then just give me like how you feel about that or how you use it or in general. So we talked a little bit, but Facebook is the big one.
Yeah. Facebook is like PTA groups, and occasionally I get into political arguments with random family members or my brother-in-laws. He posts things to try and stir people up, and then I'll jump in on that. Pictures of people's kids, friends from like high school and stuff, seeing that kind of thing. I feel like that's kind of where I get all of those, older relationships of people like that I've, been on there for a long time. And then I feel like school stuff, local community stuff, like a lot of that happens on Facebook.
Right. So you'd spend every once in a while you log in, or is that like a daily thing for you?
Yeah, probably daily. I'll just check and see like what's going on. And I feel like there's a lot, especially this year, school stuff is like so crazy. Sometimes we're in school, sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're in school every other week. What is even happening? So it's good for somebody to be like, what's the schedule the kids are on today? And then, can engage in some of that kind of stuff. That's where I get a lot of that.
Awesome
stuff. Yeah.
All right. Instagram's
my go-to. I feel like I follow a lot of authors of books that I've read, or even like celebrities or people from shows that I've watched. And I feel like I get a lot of stuff related to social justice issues, especially. I've really tried to frame who I follow based on like, okay, I want more women of color in my feed. So I started following people and like reading, okay, you should follow this person, and then like building off of who other people recommended, so that I get a really, I guess, like a wide net of people there. And so that's really the place where I feel like I go to the most frequently.
And that's changed for you, because I remember.
I know.
Like,
you're like Instagram, like, no. What even is? I didn't even have an Instagram account. Here's one picture of my dog from 5 years ago. So, and I don't put a lot of stuff out there, but I take a lot in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Is your account private on Instagram?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
I think so.
Do you engage more with stories or feed, or?
I do a little bit of both. It's usually like, in the morning I'll get on and I'll go through stories, and then later in the day I will go through, the actual posts.
Do you ever watch the like longer form videos that people post?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Independent. Yeah. It has to grab you.
It has to grab me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I watch and certain people, I'll always watch stuff that they post. Like I'll always watch Trevor Noah doing the Daily Show. Like he'll post little videos, because I don't ever watch the whole TV show. That's a big commitment. But like, this one interview with somebody. Yes, I want to watch that. you know,
Right.
or like different people I follow, they always grab me and so I'll watch that. Click on the Instagram TV and watch their whole thing. Yeah.
The social media has been amazing for late night TV because
Yeah.
I would never stay up that late.
No.
No. But I will go through and I'll watch every clip from
Yes.
Jimmy Fallon, you know,
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Right.
absolutely. That's true. Next one is Twitter.
Twitter, I honestly, like, I have my sister-in-law sends me stuff on Twitter all the time. So she's like, hey, oh man, Twitter's on fire today. Check this out. And so then I'll go and I'll log in, I'll start reading through stuff. But it's not, I honestly don't even get on there to check very often. Unless something like big is happening and I'm like, ooh, let's see what Twitter has to say about this thing. Cause I know I'm going to get information there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not turn on. I hear often from people that they don't like Twitter because it's so caustic and you know, that doesn't scare you away.
I mean, I'm not engaging with that very often. It's really only like occasionally when somebody's like, hey, check this thing out on Twitter, and I'll get on there, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
Pinterest.
Pinterest is my jam. I feel like, and that maybe is a 7 thing. It might just be a me thing. Like I love to try all different things. So I'm on there for recipe, crafty stuff. I love crafty stuff, DIY, like that's my zone. And so I'm on Pinterest all the time.
Do you just scroll through the feed or do you more searching for something specific?
Both. But you know, Pinterest is really like, oh, I searched for this thing one time. Like, ooh, I want a crochet pattern for a, you know, fingerless gloves because I made them for my nieces for Christmas. And so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's some other crochet things that pop up in my feed. And I'm like, ooh, that looks cool, or that looks cool. So, you know, I get a lot of ideas. I think one of my skills is I don't come up with unique ideas very well, but I'm really good at imitating. So I can see something and be like, that's cool, I'm gonna make that. So I'll scroll through just to get ideas and then get inspired and do something on my own.
Cool. So are you pinning or you find the one thing and?
Oh no, I pin and then I go back and check out that stuff. Sometimes I'll just be looking for something. And so I'll pin a whole bunch of stuff and then go back through and figure out what is that I actually want out of the stuff that I pinned. Do
you ever interact with people on Pinterest? Like comment on the thing?
I literally don't think I've ever done that.
I know, it's funny. It is funny how certain platforms you're like, oh, people do that? Okay.
Right. Like I guess I didn't even realize that you can comment.
Yeah, you can.
Pinterest. I just go and look for stuff.
Yeah. And the person who made that pin would be like, I got a comment. Right. Oh. Uh-huh. Okay. So LinkedIn. That's the next one.
I think I maybe made a LinkedIn profile a really long time ago. I've never done anything with that.
Okay. YouTube, I don't ever go and scroll and like just browse through YouTube. I will look for something specific or somebody will send me links and I will watch those, or they'll link to them from somewhere else, some other kind of social media or something. I don't subscribe to YouTube videos or people's YouTube channels. I've never done that. Okay.
Oh. I just look randomly.
Yeah. That's like my go-to, like if I want to just veg out for a while, because that's where I subscribe to all the late night hosts and all you know, so, but yeah, it's interesting to see how everybody uses the different platforms differently. TikTok.
Nope. I don't even have a TikTok. I have a couple friends that will send TikTok videos. And I was like, thank you for subscribing to TikTok so that I don't have to, but you can send me the stuff that's good or funny or entertaining, but I don't subscribe to TikTok.
Okay. I think you mentioned Snapchat before, like you're not a Snapchatter. That one's kind of, I feel like gone down in the thing.
Yeah, probably.
Any socials outside of that? Like, have you gotten into any other like niche things that you're not one to like just go and search out the new and best thing and go sign up for it?
No. Mm-hmm. No, if my friends aren't doing it, why would I? I think that's like, you know, like if somebody else is like, hey, check this thing out. Like if I had friends that were, I think one time I did download Snapchat because somebody was like, hey, are you on Snapchat? I'm like, no, but I guess if you are, I should be. So, I mean, I think I got Instagram because you told me to, probably. Like I didn't even have Instagram before, you know. So I think that it's always like, I mean, like I said before, I'll jump on a bandwagon if you give me reason why. Mm-hmm. So if somebody was like, this thing is really cool and you should be on there, then I totally would. But I guess I don't necessarily seek that out on my own.
Yeah.
To find something else. Yeah.
That is interesting. I wonder as I go through this, if I will find like the people that are the early adopters that are like,
Yes.
oh yeah, I need to be on that, you know,
Right.
but it kind of, and again, as you said earlier, like it might be an Allison thing. It might not be your personality thing. Like
Right.
maybe sevens overall are the ones jumping on every new social because it sounds fun.
Yeah.
But,
I can absolutely see that.
yeah. Have you heard of Clubhouse?
Nope.
Okay. It's like, it is one of those new ones on the scene that is getting a lot of attention because invite only.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I haven't gotten an invitation. I am very jealous of all the other people who have. So I'm trying to find somebody to give me an invitation. So
She's like, do you have it? Can you invite me?
oh, can you? Because I know you would if you had it.
I absolutely would. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask was around advertising. Like, how do you feel in general about advertising on socials? Do you ever click on them, or are you like, one of those people like, if I click on it, it's going to be on everything every browser I open, so I'm not going to click on it. How do you feel about ads?
I definitely click on ads. They get me all the time. I feel like, and then they're like, oh yeah. I don't know why, like I'm saying Schitt's Creek because I love Schitt's Creek. Thanks to you for getting me hooked on Schitt's Creek, even though I couldn't engage at first, but then, deep dive into Schitt's Creek. So it's like, here's a Rose Apothecary shirt. And I was like, oh yes, I definitely want a Rose Apothecary shirt. And then I click on there. And so I think ads do, yes, for sure, get me regularly, but more for like products, I think, than like people, or click on this ad to, I don't know, it has to be like an item, like, oh yes, that is a shirt I want, or oh my gosh, that mug is so fun, I want that mug, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I click on ads.
Good. And mostly on Instagram, or do you click on the Facebook ones?
Facebooks are weird. I feel like I get weird stuff that shows up in Facebook ads. I feel like Instagram is more like, yeah. And also you get the same things like a few times and I'm like, okay, yes, fine, I'll click on it. Like I've been avoiding that and there it is again. So I guess I'll click on it this time.
Sometimes I'm like, if I just buy this, will this ad go away?
No, it'll get worse. I think if you buy it, then they're like, yes,
I know.
We'll have this forever. Yes.
Well, is there anything else like you can think of that is just like, oh, I love this on social. This is really like a 7 thing.
I think that like there have been times where I have just had to get off of social media because everything felt too heavy. And so I want it to be more fun in general. It's like this weird balance of I don't get on there to be made to feel bad because I don't like to feel bad. That is a big 7 thing is avoidance of those feelings. So if it gets too heavy, it's like, I got to stay away from social media for a bit because it feels like too much. Everybody is like really, all the content's really heavy. So then I have to take a break from it and then come back. So I think I go through some of these cycles like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I post, like my stuff is all very, usually like pretty surfacey, like, oh, here's when I used to do fun things. I think maybe the hard part here that I'm having is like, remember when we did fun things and we'd post about them on Instagram and then now we do nothing. So here we are. Sadness. Yeah. Because I like that, like I went on this fun trip or I did this fun thing or like, here's this fun stuff. And so I think it's harder when there's not fun stuff happening. Yeah. Which is, 2020, 2021. We're here, we still are.
I feel like it's just the same year. It just keeps going.
Yeah, wish and see. That's what we're doing. We're going to wish and see.
Exactly. I had a typo in our group text. And I was like, well, the motto of 2021 is just, let's wait and see. But I accidentally auto-corrected to wish and see. And I'm like, nope, that's probably more
wish
accurate.
And see. That's what we're doing. We're going to wish it's going to be better and we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, Allison.
You're welcome.
I cannot thank you enough. And I'm eagerly looking forward to the next time we can actually, be actually IRL face.
Yes, I know. Absolutely. Me too. Thanks for having me.